No, I still don't think Bethesda games will be making their way onto PlayStation. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So the headline making its way around the internet today is this article from IGN, which is Bethesda boss says it's hard to imagine Elder Scrolls 6 being Xbox exclusive. Now, this is a very misleading article, misleading headline, because they pulled this out of a large interview between James Batchelor of GameIndustry.biz and Todd Howard himself. They talked about a lot of stuff. They talked about the ZeniMax acquisition. They talked about Bethesda games and resources and stuff like that. And then they ended it off talking about exclusivity. So jumping into it here, you can see this is a very long interview, and the IGN article literally pulled out the second last sentence of the entire interview as its main headline. But there is an entire other section above that where Todd Howard goes into details about Xbox exclusivity, about the Bethesda exclusivity, and pretty much how they just can't talk about it right now. And as we know with this games reaction interview, Phil Spencer reiterated the point, saying, "I'm not sitting down with Todd Howard and Robert Altman and planning their future because I'm currently not allowed to do that. That would be illegal." And the reason for this is because the actual deal isn't finalized yet. He said it will be finalized in early 2021, so we won't really hear anything about this until 2021. And anything right now you hear about the games being exclusive or not should really be taken with a grain of salt because they don't have too much weight. But no, I do not think that these games are coming to the PlayStation 5, and I'm going to explain to you why. First of all, this was a sentence at the end of a large part about exclusivity, starting with, "Despite the many entry points to the Xbox ecosystem, there are still concerns that all future Bethesda titles will be restricted to channels Microsoft controls." Xbox boss Phil Spencer said at the time that Bethesda's games continuing to be multi-format will be judged on a case-by-case basis. And then Howard reiterates that they can't look at it now because the deal isn't finalized and stuff like that, saying that they have and always have by themselves on a case-by-case basis looked at this, and now they will do this with Microsoft as well. And he also recognizes that Microsoft has been pretty open on other platforms, not just within Xbox. So obviously they've put games on Nintendo, they've put games on PlayStation, and they've really made the Xbox ecosystem a games platform that can be enjoyed on a variety of devices, like your Android phone, on your Xbox, on your PC, and hopefully in the future on an iPhone once they get the solution to get Game Pass on the iPhone. He then goes on to say, "I can't really project where things will be, except that we've done this sort of exercises ourselves as independent. If you look at every Elder Scrolls game, there has been some exclusivity on Xbox or with Microsoft. We've partnered with every game. Morrowind was basically a console exclusive. Oblivion was a long time exclusive. Skyrim's DLC was exclusive for a long period of time. We'll decide what makes the best sense for our audience when that time comes, and I can't really project today what that looks like." And finally, finishing off really just talking about how ultimately it's hard to imagine that despite the power of Microsoft now has over Bethesda, it could restrict the Elder Scrolls 6, for example, to its own platforms, especially given the running joke that it's for Bare Skyrim and it's available on every device imaginable, including Alexa. And finally, Todd Howard responds saying, "I would agree that it's hard to imagine." And that is the single line, the single sentence that IGN used for their headline of their article that has caused a lot of discussion around the internet and people thinking that this means that Bethesda games are going to be on the PlayStation 5. But that line really could just be him referring to the fact that Skyrim is literally on everything, so it is kind of hard to imagine that this next Elder Scrolls game is only going to be on Xbox, which would be a complete difference from Skyrim. And when it comes to the exclusivity of Bethesda games, there's going to be a lot of stuff that goes on that is way over everyone right now that is outside of the organization. We don't know what they're going to do, but I think there's going to be a lot of common sense that can be used to really pull out how they're going to determine whether these games end up on PlayStation and why I don't think they will end up on PlayStation. Firstly, they're going to look at the Xbox ecosystem, the amount of users within it, and what those numbers are. They're going to look at Game Pass, they're going to see the subscribers, and by the time a Bethesda game comes out for Xbox Game Pass, there are going to be even more subscribers than there is now, and there's about over 15 million subscribers right now to Game Pass. We'll look at those numbers and they'll see how much revenue can that bring in, how much revenue by keeping Bethesda games within the Xbox ecosystem on Game Pass, how much money can they make, and how many more users are they going to be able to acquire by doing that. Things like how many PlayStation users, how many Nintendo users potentially are they going to be able to bring over to Game Pass if they keep it solely on Xbox Game Pass and within the ecosystem, versus if they were to put this game out on PlayStation, how many people are going to be paying $70 or $60 full price for the games rather than coming over to Xbox Game Pass, and will that really reduce the amount of users that sign up to play the games on Game Game Pass. Now, obviously, I don't think it will make that massive of a difference if they actually did put it on PlayStation, just because the game is going to be full price and people are going to want to pay that $10 for the month or whatever to sign up for Game Pass. They really just need to weigh, is it worth losing users to PlayStation if they were to release it on that console? And will some sort of deal with PlayStation with royalties and stuff like that be enough to outweigh the amount of users that they could have gotten on Game Pass if they were to keep it exclusive to the platform, to the ecosystem? Because at the end of the day, the goal of Xbox and the goal of Microsoft is to get you within their ecosystem, so you are paying them a monthly fee for a long period of time, and they're going to make a lot more money off of that, I think, in the long run, than striking some sort of deal with PlayStation, getting royalties, getting a certain percentage of every copy sold. And for the business of Xbox and for the business of the Xbox ecosystem in general, it's a lot more beneficial for them to have these IPs exclusive to their ecosystem so they can increase those revenue streams within Game Pass, within xCloud, and then continuously getting money from their users on a monthly basis, rather than putting it on PlayStation and potentially losing a decent chunk, you could say, to the PlayStation platform. Now, over the last couple of years, Xbox has been the most consumer-friendly brand by far in video games. I don't think there's any way you could really argue against that, and that's what has people thinking that they're still going to put this game out on PlayStation, because they have been multi-platform with some of their exclusives, and by not doing that, it kind of makes them anti-consumer, which is different than what they have been going for, what they have been doing, which I completely disagree with. I think if they don't put it on PlayStation, it really just makes them a smart business. At the end of the day, we seem to forget that Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, these companies don't really care that much about what we want and about us. They care about making the most money possible with their products. So that's what they're going to look at. They're going to look at what makes them the most money in the long run with the Bethesda titles, and they're going to do that. And I honestly believe that the way that'll make the most money for Xbox in the long run is keeping exclusive to the platform, keeping exclusive to the ecosystem, increasing subscriptions, and then having a constant revenue stream for a very long time. And honestly, the ecosystem has tons of users and it continues to grow. So the user base and the install base and that kind of stuff is not an issue with these Bethesda games. I don't think they're looking at it and be like, well, we could reach this many more million users if we put it on PlayStation 5 as well. They're looking at it as, how much more money are we going to make for Xbox, for Microsoft in the long run? And is it worth putting it on PlayStation, make money off of those users, or is it better to get people locked into our ecosystem for the long term? But yeah, I could be completely wrong, and they maybe come out for PlayStation and we can look at this video and say, hey, this guy was wrong about this. He thought it was only going to be an Xbox, blah, 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 blah. And I would be completely okay with that. This is just what I think about what they're going to do with the Bethesda IPs. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you think that Bethesda titles are going to come out on PlayStation? Do you think I'm correct? Do you think they're going to keep them locked into the Xbox ecosystem? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you want to stay updated on everything for the next generation, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I will be covering everything and getting the next gen consoles on day one and making tons of videos on those. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for all your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.